Brighton-Julie word. Julie was born in 20th April 1960 in Suffolk, England, United Kingdom. She was a publishing assistant and an amateur wildlife photographer. She loved photography and was fascinated by wildlife. And for this reason, in 1988, Julie traveled from England to Kenya, hoping to capture the annual migration of wildbeast in the Masaai Mara game reserve. At the beginning of September 1988, she had been in Africa for around 7 months, photographing wildlife, and was due to return to England in a few weeks' time. She was traveling to the famous Masaai Mara game reserve with an Australian friend. On September 1988, the vehicle they were driving broke down. Her Australian friend returned to Nairobi, while Julie decided to spend the night alone at the Mara Serena Lodge. On September 6th, the vehicle was repaired and Julie left to drive to the nearby Sand River camp to recover some of her camping equipment. Unfortunately, this was the last time she was seen alive. She was reported missing later, and her father, John Ward, flew to Kenya to find his daughter. He said he knew from the word go that something terrible had happened to his daughter, and he did not hesitate. He bought a ticket and flew in the country. When he arrived at the Masaai Mara Game Reserve, he hired 5 aircraft to search the areas of the game reserves. And after much effort, on 13th September 1988, the pilot sighted the Suzuki Jeep that Julie was driving in a gully next to a river. Julie's dad went to investigate this sighting in person. He was met with a horrific sight. His daughter's burned and dismembered body was found in the ashes of a fire. What was recovered of Julie was only her jaw and lower left leg. Julie's dad, John Ward, spent nearly £2 million on this investigation and made around 200 visits to Kenya. The original theory by the Kenyan officials was that Julie had been eaten by lions and struck by lightning. However, after 12 months, they later accepted that she had been murdered, and this was after her father's countless efforts in uncovering the evidence. It was noted that the Kenya's coroner's report had been altered to disguise the fact that her bones had been cut by a sharp blade rather than gnawed by animals. A British pathologist found that Julie had been dismembered with a machete, then burnt in petrol. Julie's father accused the Kenyan government and the former president Daniel Arap Moi of trying to cover up his daughter's murder to prevent damage to the tourist industry. He was also devastated because he believed the British officials were also helping the Kenyan government in covering up this murder. In 1992, 4 years after Julie's body was found, 2 junior park rangers were arraigned before the court, but only after 2 trials they were acquitted of her murder due to lack of evidence. The presiding judge in the trial recommended the investigation of the head park ranger, and in 1997, the case was re-examined by a fresh team of Kenyan police. In July 1998, Simon Ole Makala, the head park ranger at that time, was arrested, and this was following a 2-year thorough investigation. But on 16 September 1999, Simon was found not guilty due to lack of evidence. Unfortunately, this case was then closed. In 2004, a British inquest held at Ipswich recorded a verdict of unlawful killing. And in October 2009, the case was reopened again after a secret visit by John Yates, the head of Metropolitan Police Anti-Terrorism Squad. In December 2009, Valentine Uhuru, a key witness of the murder, died in Denmark. He had lived in exile for more than 20 years. This case was very sensitive that some of the key witnesses had to seek refuge in other countries. In 2018, Julie's dad campaigned in the media for the Kenyan authorities to obtain DNA sample from the person he suspected committed the crime. According to Julie's dad, Jonathan Moi, the son to former President Daniel Moi, murdered Julie. Unfortunately, Moi died in April 2019 before he was even prosecuted. But of course, the police had interviewed him, but he denied to ever committing this crime. He insisted that he wasn't even at the crime scene when this happened. Julie's dad says Moi and his drunken pals came across Julie when she stopped to photograph the wildlife near Serena Lodge. Moi then raped her as his cronies stopped for manager Ibrahim Choge, stepping in to stop him. Moi's men were then ordered to dispose of her body. Mr. Choge, who was married to President Moi's daughter, Doris, quit working for the family. He later died in a road accident 10 years after, and his father believed his death was orchestrated after Choge threatened to expose Jonathan Moi. It is after President Moi died in Feb 2020 that witnesses were willing to testify. John Ward said when he flew in the country to pursue a potential lead, he met one guy who confirmed that Jonathan had been in the immediate area where Julie's body was found and that he had proof, but was scared to testify before. John now says that his fight for justice has been driven by the memory of discovering his daughter's dismembered body, but this fight hasn't been without countless obstacles, because he has been blocked so many times. In 2020, Scotland Yard told him that they were going to shelve the inquiry to this case. John, now 90 years old, says he faces a race against time to solve the case before he dies. He says he owes it to Julie to get justice because he knows who killed her, and it gets more clearer with time and with more evidence. Unfortunately, from 2020, there haven't been so much progress with this case, and I hope that one day the person who killed Julie will be brought to book, whether they are still alive or they are gone, that they will be brought to book. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much for listening to me. Please have yourself a great week. Let's meet next week. Bye.